Are you looking for a place to meet like-minded people? Perhaps you're a light worker looking for a safe place to share your thoughts and services. The place for you, IntuiTalks.com. Join for free, post updates, blogs, create and join groups via website or radio or class package. The possibilities are endless. Join the All Spiritual, all under one roof network, www.IntuiTalks.com.
Woohoo! Welcome everybody to a Psychic Affair, another edition. Today oopsie.
Are you looking for a place to
oopsie, we get to go again. I just
a place to share your thoughts and services. We've got a place for you.
We've got a place for you.
Join for free, post updates, blogs, create.
For whatever reason, I can't find my
class package. The possibilities are endless.
Endless.
Join the All Spiritual.
Okay, sorted. Oh no, I know what I'm doing, which is really silly. Here we go. Exit. I hope that's better. We do have a little bit of rainy weather, so there's a possibility it could be a little bit sideways, I guess, but in the main we will try to keep up with it. You know, we are looking with today at Celtic animal-totems and the symbolism. Now, this does sort of work in any, in any belief system as long as like, and roll over to the thousands of history that we have involving animals in our characteristic, in our spirituality. Breaking a complex human down to a simple set of characters doesn't work. But of course, the idea has always been one of developmental value, really more than anything else. It's as a sign or as a idea of spirituality that sort of changed. I think that the biggest thing was probably in 30 to 50 years, maybe even 100 years, but probably a bit less, is this dumbing down of information to make it easily obtainable. But in a way that it loses the depth of its relevant, depth of its meaning. And I think that's a shame, I really do. I don't think we appreciate the things that we don't work for as a human race, as individuals. Once we've earned something, we appreciate it so much more. Once we have developed an understanding of something, we appreciate it. But we also take learning into our bodies. It becomes a part of us. When we read of somebody else's experience, for example, if we've never had that experience or even anything similar or anything that we can relate to, we literally cannot reference experience. We can't relate to how they feel about their experience more than anything else. So we can pay lip service to it, but not necessarily respond to it in a good way. Is it better? Is it better, or do I need to call back in? Because sometimes just calling back in will fix the problem. So have we improved or have we not? Not better? Okay, I'm just going to hang up. I'll be back in 2 shakes of a lamb's tail. That's assuming the lamb held his tail, right? Okay, we'll give it a... Okay, I'm back. Sorry about that, folks. Is that better? I hope it is better. There's nothing else I can do if it's not. You've heard that saying, 2 shakes of a lamb's tail? Fantastic. I actually just realized that I was on the wrong hotspot. It's like way, way away, that one. So I can only barely attach to it. So I don't even know why it selected that one, because I usually have it auto-selected for the nearest and most bestest signal. But we get on with the Celtic animals as symbols, just like all symbols and signs. And totals, I suppose. They hold an incredible power and fascination, really, for us all. When we get involved in it, there's always an interest, there's always a keen sense of something, The Celts are far from the only ones who've used animal totems or animal guidance, that kind of thing, revered animals. In fact, you would have to try hard, I think, to hunt down any... Oops, I've got no camera. I'll go back and get my camera. You'd have to... let's go for... No. No. Okay, maybe no camera. Try that one. It's all right. No. It's there, but it's not here. Oh, my gosh. What the heck, man? Integrated webcam. Let's get rid of that. Turn that on. And maybe it'll work. Now, it's done this to me before when I've lost my camera or lost my connection when I've come back on, even though the choices are there, it won't actually provide the right one. So I just turned the right one on. I broke it. I broke the internet. Oh dear, what a surprise. Me and breaking the internet, I think, is a kind of a common theme, a common thing. Let's try that. Now no camera's going to work for me, so it's decided to be every camera I've turned on, it's not doing. So I'll refresh now. Oh my gosh. New tab, reload. We'll just try this one bit and see how we go. And if that doesn't work, then we forget the camera. We'll just carry on anyway. So basically, the whole intention, if you like, or the whole ideal around here we go. Finally, so my refreshing did the trick. Yahoo! This is usually the idea around animals, animal guidance. I have got a falcon guide meditation. In fact, I've played around with this quite a bit over the years. And although there's been the American Indian resonance for so many people, it's ignored that it goes so much further back than our modern understanding. And that the dumbed-down version of it, whereas if you see a caterpillar, it's my animal guide or it's my animal totem. I really struggle with that. I live in a country where there are a lot of animals, and there's certain times of year where they're flitting past you. But I do understand that there are times when something unusual happens, in which case I don't know so much if you're talking an animal totem, but maybe a sign or a message. And I think that's a powerful way to look at this kind of thing, because we can get to the point where signs aren't signs anymore. If everything we see is a sign or an indication, a totem isn't a totem if it isn't incredibly important to you. That's the point of it. And so even in Māoridom, they were so enamored with birds. And in New Zealand, the truth is, until Captain Cook arrived over here, we didn't have pigs. We didn't have deer. There was no large animals. They were all birds, basically. We didn't have rats. We didn't have anything that really damaged the bird life. So we have a lot of walking birds, a lot of non-flying. Our national bird is the kiwi. By the way, where it comes from is a bird, but it's a non-flying bird. And so we identify quite strongly with it. My favorite saying was always, Kiwis don't fly, but look at me. The Māori would get a moko on their faces and they'd be twirled. And if you've seen any of my artwork with the Māori moko or the features, if you haven't, I'll post one of the pictures up here at the end of the show. They were to represent the bird. They wore feather cloaks, which indicated the power of the bird, the freedom of the bird, the dominance of the bird. And even then, we haven't really had any big birds, but there was an emu. No, there wasn't. We had a moa, which was about the size of an emu, which is extinct now and has been for a very long time. If you go back to the early 1800s, you hear them talk about it, but they were kind of eaten out of extinction rather than anything else. So there's an implication with these animals, with certain animals, with oneself. There's many a tale that involves communing with the animal kingdom to gain deep and valuable information. Animal symbols serve as a reminder of the qualities, and this is how I really do see it for the most part, of the qualities of strength, courage, and patience, or whatever attributes we are kind of looking for within ourselves, the attributes that we are seeking that offer us more understanding and clarity, or the things that we want to develop within ourselves. You can break this right on down, but we never look at them as a negative trait, perhaps. We never look at them or think of them in a way that suggests that, they're going to pull us down. There's something to be recognized. There's a skill that every animal has, I suppose, and when we look at that skill and we can be used or use that skill, then we can take ourselves into a different zone. The dragonfly thing is a really interesting thing, and they're going to be in my set of cards. There's specifically going to be a little dragonfly section because they were what flew out of Pandora's box. When the box was first open, all of these dragonflies flew out and they obscured her vision for a minute. And of course, Pandora's box opens. Hiya, Roger. Opens the ideal of your worst nightmare or your greatest desire, or your greatest desire becoming your worst nightmare. It represents that whole idea that once you open something up like that, you open it up in such a way that you can't shove anything back in it. You have to live out what you've started. And that's kind of life, isn't it? You know, once you set something in motion, depending on how big it is, you're stuck with it till you've seen it through, till you get fed up, till you can get rid of it if you're not having fun with it, or until you've learned enough from it to be able to walk up and over and beyond it. So animal symbols are a wonderful way to break this down so that we can have a wee look. Now, I've got some symbols. I've got 2 pages, and I won't show you either of them until we get there because I don't want you to jump to any conclusions. Pandora's Box is a fascinating story for me. In fact, when I move into my Myths and Legends series, which I've developed, I've developed all of my series for a long time to come, that we go from one to the other, and then now and again something will change in a series and I'll insert it and it becomes the next series. And I quite like the way that's working. So I've always got a good 6 months of programming that's for the late show, of course. That's for the Sunday night show, because the next one's going to be Magic of the Ages. Yoo-hoo! And we're going to look at ways of practicing it, not just talk about it, but I've got some recipes that we can play with. But anyway, and we can work out for ourselves whether they work or whether they don't work. So welcome, everybody. I'm glad that you're here. Now, these animal signs can convey a deeper meaning and also provide us with an illustrative focus, which I also think is important. When we can't be objective, then it's easier to objectify a trait. That is to turn it into something else, and that's something we can understand. And because it's slightly separate from ourselves, then we don't have the emotional attachment to the message or the information. You can also go from the American Indian standpoint, where when you, and the shamanic viewpoint, that when you have gained an animal totem, then that becomes where you go to get your guidance within yourself. You meditate upon that totem. It isn't something that's just a card that you draw, It isn't something that just crosses your path for a moment. It has a deep and relevant meaning for the person who uses it. And there are very deep and meaningful ways of finding that animal totem. So using the word totem to me implies that you've gone to that trouble, that you've gone into some kind of meditative state, that you've quietly sat and found what it is you needed, rather than to just keep running, Roger. Just keep running. That's quite funny. Hiya, Christy. Nell and Roger and Gigi and Darlene, and I'm not sure who's there, so I'll carry on. I actually have it on radio all the time myself, unless I'm taking calls. I don't look at the other. And we can take calls if anybody does want to call in after we've got through the information. But today's show allows you to just look at the picture and type in, if you wish, what it is that blows your scoot up, Roger. Regardless of belief, it really isn't a random act to find an animal totem. But a sign is a little bit different, and it's really important, I think, to be a little bit careful about that. And in dreams, animals can represent our fears, our need for knowledge, or again, certain characteristics. I say this too, when another person is in your dream, people get so hooked up on the fact that this person was there that they don't start thinking about what are the traits of that person. What is it that they really represent you? And you can usually break that down to one sentence. They're unreliable, you don't trust them, you do trust them. It's a shock because of what they did in the dream. That kind of thing could be a betrayal. You've got prophecy dreams, and a prophecy dream very often will use characteristics to guide you if something's going to happen. Why does it not give you the exact situation? I don't know. It would be so simple if it did, but very often the players are there, and the players can be correct players. If it's a prophecy dream and there's somebody in it, it's probably that person in the dream. If it's not, if it's one of those Technicolor help yourself out dreams, the chances are good it'll be about, the energy, if you like, and the driving force and influences in that situation. Does a butterfly crossing your path mean it's your totem? I really honestly don't believe so. If it's butterfly season in New Zealand, then they will cross your path a lot. I saw a lynx when I was in Canada, and I thought it was amazing as it ran across the highway, but there are lynxes there. It's far from unheard of. That's the kind of thing I look for if I'm looking for a sign, or if I'm not looking for a sign but think something's going to be a sign. It has to really be different. It has to be something completely out of the ordinary to make that work. And I'm definite about signs that it's very, very tricky going to make something into a sign, you'll always be chasing your tail part in the pun. You know, if you have, there's an element of personalization when it comes to animal totems and when it comes to dream symbols with animals, and some of that is very personal to you. That is to say, if you have a phobia of butterflies, I use butterflies because, you know, they're kind of innocent looking. If you have a phobia about butterflies and you dream of butterflies, then it's going to go into that negative aspect of your fear, your anxieties, and probably suggest that you have anxieties that might need to be dealt with. If it's represented as a butterfly instead of a shark, which of course is something else again, which we would accept as a scary thing, or a spider or a snake in some cases, then it might mean too that it's time to start looking at balancing out what's real and what's not real in your life, what are real things to be concerned about and what aren't. I have a friend, Carolyn, who, in this subject, it was a marvelous little story, really. She had moved into a house with her son, and once she moved into this place, which she really loved, she'd been there a few weeks, and she rings me up and she goes, Dorothy, this bird's trying to give me a message. Quick, what does it mean? So I raced to her place thinking that they're being attacked by magpies. There's ravens diving bombing. I don't think we've got ravens. There's crows dive bombing them. There's something going on there. We have falcons. We have one kind of falcon, and that's our lot for big birds. And it's not that big. Actually, it's a hawk. It's not a falcon. We don't have falcons, and we don't have eagles. So anyway, I'm expecting dire things to be happening. I get to my friend's place, and what has she got? But in her bedroom, the master bedroom, there's this bird going, beck, 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 on her window. And it just kept going, and it kept going. Well, this went on for her for nearly 2 weeks, which really I started to think, that's definitely some kind of a sign. And, of course, between the laughter and the joking, this was very, very unusual. Then when I spoke to the man who rented her the house, the man who owned the place, it was a farm, he'd said he'd just chopped a branch off that was in front of the window that year, and there were always birds' nests in that branch. So I'm thinking that the bird itself was displaced and trying to work out where it was going to put its nest. So there can be other explanations, and it's easy to get it all caught up. And for me as a reader, if I feel there's a message in it, I'll go with that message. If I don't feel there's a message in it, I'll go looking for why that might happen and find the answer that way. So let's have a wee look, shall we? Because, you know, most people have had some kind of interesting animal experience or other type of things going on. So this is a Celtic representation, which I probably should have had up all along. A Celtic representation of, I really like this one, actually. I'm just trying to make my script, there we are, make it a bit bigger. Roger saw a large bird this morning from outside his hospital window. It had the shape and flight characteristics of a turkey buzzard, and it was pure white. This, without a doubt, is the strangest bird I've seen today. I'm not sure what a turkey buzzard is. Do you think it's after your bones? Don't buzzards, you know, eat the flesh of man? Is that how it goes? Look, everybody, Roger is in hospital. Roger is not well, so anybody that wishes to send energy, it would be greatly appreciated. And of course, Roger is promising, carrion, that's the word I was thinking of. Roger is promising as we speak to accept all and any energies sent his way to help him get past where he's at and get back home so he can annoy Kathy. Because, you know, I've got a half suspicion she's being nice to him or something. You know, she might even be visiting him, taking him coffee, you know, she may even be feeding him burgers, all those nice, yummy things wives do for husbands. He could be faking just to get a little bit more out of the woman, you know. It's scary, he says. It's scary. That's right. So I love this saying that we've got here. This is so beautiful. I'm the hawk on the crag, the golden drop of sun, the fairest of blooms. I am the wild boar in boast, the salmon in the pool. I am the craft, the poet. I am the word of knowledge. Merrigan, who was a Celtic bard. So there you go. Ta-da, a little bit of Celtic bard poetry type stuff going on there. Now, the bards went around village to village. They went around from family to family, and they shared stories through beautiful poems, and they shared the ideals in a way that we don't quite do anymore. And I think that while things do change and evolve over time, that's one of those things that I think is a real shame. And I also think, who was the guy who did Alice's Restaurant? What was his name? I've forgotten it now. It goes back quite a way. I love the album. And he became hugely famous. Arlo Guthrie, that's it. I knew Roger would know. See, I knew Roger would know. Arlo Guthrie. If you haven't heard it, go onto YouTube and look it up. And he's got the bicycle one too, which is just funny. Well, I believe the reason he got as famous as he did was he told stories, and he told them with a little bit of a guitar lyric and theme behind it. They were stories, not the show Alice. It's Alice's Restaurant, and it's really just the story of a guy skiving off, but it's so funny and it's so amazing. But it's the story and the way that it's done and the way he did it that made him as famous as he was. It was a pure pleasure to listen to him, and that I should imagine what it was like in the days of the bards, that everybody would gather around and hear them telling their story with a few notes on the lute or whatever, and a very theatrical kind of an air to it, not necessarily play acting, but the stories would be founded on something. They would always have a basis. So now what I'm going to do, it's no further ado here. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to show you that I've got 2 pages of totems. There's a number of totems on each page. Now I want you to look at the first page, and if one strikes your fancy, just take note of it. Don't put it in the chat. And then I'm going to show you the second page. And whichever one takes your fancy out of both pages, then I want you to type it in the chat. And if you see your one put up there by somebody else's, pop yours up there too. And I will read out the Celtic identification with those. He followed his dad's, Woody Guthrie's, footprints when it came to story songwriting. That's a truth, because I remember him talking about that one day, and I think his father was present. This would be going way back, early 70s or something, and his father was present. I'm pretty sure they panned around and showed him in the crowd. I think that was not long before he died. I'm not too sure, because I think he died earlier, Sean. But just an amazing skill as far as I'm concerned. And then I get really into beat poetry as well, and it's that same thing, isn't it, except for sometimes beat poetry doesn't make a lot of sense. But there's that whole lovely idea that the music isn't about the music is to accent the poem or the story, and it works absolutely beautifully. Are you ready? Here we go. So here's our first page. I'm going to leave it there for a few moments so everybody can have a look at every part of the picture. Write down now, that's a goose, just so as you know. That's a duck. That's a stag or deer. That's a wolf. And the rest, this actually is a griffin. It's not a dragon, it's a griffin. I know it does look dragon-like. And, of course, a cat, a butterfly, a bull, and a dolphin. So if any of those strike a fancy, take a moment to look at each of them. And if none of them call to you, let it go. Now, we do have a limited number here, so you may be taking a settling position here, or you choose none. It's entirely up to you. When you've got the world of animals at your disposal, it's a phenomenon. I'm going to go to the second page now. Is everybody ready? Is everybody ready? Here we go. The second page. Now, for those of you listening on Spreaker, Kiwi 6, I went along. I've got to say, they are doing IntuiTalks proud. The amount of listens I've been getting is phenomenal as an ongoing. And while BTR I'd have a good listenership over a week after I'd run a show, these guys, they're just still piling it on. One of my shows, months later, is still getting a regular weekly listener, so I really like that. For anybody that's thinking of having a show, and IntuiTalks gives you those whole multi-platform outflow, but it also gives you this beautiful live in-show opportunity. So that's the first one, and now I'm moving on to this is the second one, sorry. So we have a snake, we have a seahorse, we have a raccoon. No, that's a badger. We've got a crow, we've got an eagle, we've got a swan. This is salmon. Horse, that's a wren. And I just have to try and remember what that other one was. That's a dog. It's a dog. Oh, actually, yeah, that's right. I think I got that wrong. Hang on. That's a dog on the first page, if you chose that one, and it's a wolf on the second page. There we go, just a bit confusing, and that's a badger. So when you know what it is that really lights your skirt up, or if you want me to go back again so you can have another look, just say so in the chat, and we can do that for you to get you the best representation you possibly could. Hiya, Mags. Everybody ready? Has everybody seen both pages? How are you? Have you seen both pages, Mags? Would you like me to go back to the first page? Here you're just choosing an animal that calls to you or that attracts your attention. Yes, nope, I'm good. You just sound like a Kiwi there. Yeah, nah, I'm good. What's the critique on the second page under the badger? What do you mean critique? There's no critique. There's the badger there. There's no critique. There's no writing. Oh, do you mean what is the information? Because you're interested in the badger, the curlicue. It's nothing. They've all got Celtic symbols on them. That's all. A curlicue. Look at you go. If you need me to go back to the first page because you're not 100% sure, let me know now because I'll be calling for. They've all got Celtic symbolism on them or Celtic imagery on them. That's part of the deal, and it's nice. Isn't it nice? Okay, so let's go back. On the first page, starting with the bull. Does anybody have the bull? If you don't, I'll pop. I actually might pop these into the frame anyway. So if you're drawn to the bull, it's really a revealed symbol amongst the Celtic animals with several different translations, but mostly it symbolizes strong will, uncompromising, even being belligerent at times. The bull stands for unbending and strong personality traits. There's a stand your ground moment, and of course, it's not really a surprise, I don't think. But there is a flip side, and this is a bit to understand. It also has the signs of virility for men, fertility for women. I don't know why women can't be virile. Donning the bull symbol in the bedchamber, depicted on sheets, robes, pillows, it was said to enhance your mental state, leading to sexual strength and endurance. And a third representation of the bull sign is that of riches and wealth, likely due to the fact that it was a great source of food to the Celts. And, of course, making babies was important. There is no writing outside of. They're just, whatever's on them are just imagery that is their Celtic imagery between the badger and the dog. It's there's, this one here? That's a crow. Hang on, I'll make it bigger. Is that what you're trying to ask about? That there. Is that what you mean? Nice girl, bit slow. It's a crow. Okay? So there we are. Are we happy now? I'm sorry. So I can put those a bit closer if it makes it easier. Got it? Swan. Yeah, I was thinking you were talking about these sort of things. That's all right. No problemo. That's a wren. Salmon. Horsey, eagle, fox. Oh, no, it's not. Is it a fox? Oh, it might be the fox with a bushy tail. Seahorse. Let me confuse you. Hiya. No problem. Oh, well, it means we have to go through both pages for Corrine now. So, Corrine, what everybody's doing is they are choosing an animal. And, yeah, it is a fox because of its tail. We go back here, and that's definitely a wolf. I'm pretty sure. Bull, butterfly, the dog. It's a dog. There's no wolf. There's no wolf. I think actually when I first looked it up, the wolf and the dog were like wolf and hound were one sort of a thing. So that's the dog, bull, butterfly, cat, griffin, dolphin, stag, duck, goose, silly goose, and choose one from there is what we're doing. And then I'm going to give you the meanings. And then on this page, we have a snake, a seahorse, a fox. we have a crow, we have an eagle, or is it a hawk? I'm pretty sure it's an eagle. I better double check because I did this like earlier today. Oh, so funny. Wren, horse, fish, salmon, swan, falcon. It's a hawk, a falcon or a hawk. Horse, wren, snake. Yeah. She's picking on the wolf first. The wolf turns out to actually be a dog on the first page, but it's all right. They have the two names on it, not just the one. Okay, so, no, just one. Just pick one out of both pages that calls to you or that attracts you, and we're good to go. So, back to the bull. I've just read the bull, and so now we'll go back to that first page as we go through those. Now, just the birdie, this is the wren. That one there or that one there? The wren. This one here. The wren. Yeah, that one. Okay, good as gold. So she's the wren. All right, so as we go through it, we've got, actually we will run out of time. So if you just type in what you've got, we'll go through those. And if I didn't talk about any, we'll pick it up later. Stag, seahorse. Which one, Roger? You can only choose one. Okay. So we'll go through them. What the idea here is that the one you choose, you're drawn to it because there's an attribute that you need to develop or you need to use. It's a crow. A seahorse, butterfly. Okay, so we've got butterfly. We start with the butterfly. It's the symbolic meaning behind the butterfly is actually quite extensive and well written about. I have a couple of beautiful books that Roger would envy of ancient symbology and how man has used these symbols over the years, over thousands of years. And it's always fascinating to see that the way it was used didn't really change much. The way we interpreted it might have a little bit. And across cultures, the butterfly hasn't really had much of a change. It represents transformation and inspiration. So anybody interested in the butterfly, drawn to the butterfly, is seeking those attributes within itself, the ability to transform either oneself or one's life, to look for inspiration. There's also a time component because with the butterfly things happen very quickly. So it's about wanting or needing to develop those skills that things move very quickly. And the concept of rebirth with the Celts was particularly of importance in terms of recycling of life. There was a strong belief in that, which is well represented by the butterfly. The whole idea that your next birth is going to be something larger and greater than this one, regardless. There wasn't really a lot about being good or bad in that. There's this whole concept of to every season, turn, 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 you know that song, and it really does find its representation in the butterfly. It's transition, which is common in all of nature, and the Celtic women would often be very keenly aware of the presence of time. As such, butterflies would adorn birthing gowns, blankets, bed sheets as a sign of smooth transition when welcoming new babies into the village. There's just so much more with the Celtics and the butterflies. It was a very involved relationship. There's a delicacy, there's a fragility. So if you're drawn to that, think about the best way that you can use the energy of the butterfly. If we're drawn to an animal totem, in this way, we're not looking for a sign so much. We're looking for those traits. We're looking to develop those ideas, those thoughts, and those feelings, that kind of thing that's going on. Now, we've also then got, nobody shows the cat, we've got the dog or the wolf. The wolf dog, it's slashed, or hound really, symbolizes the pure root meaning throughout time and culture, and it really does. It hasn't changed either. That meaning is, of course, loyalty, the power or the ability to drive forward very quickly, to get a hold of something, to get a taste of it. It was considered to be good luck in the Celtic villages of its day, and as such, the symbol of the hound or the wolf was commonly found in the decor, as well as clothing. So it'd be carved into doorways and into buildings and into talismans. The symbol was a harbinger of good health as well. So anybody seeking good health that's chosen the hound would want the attributes, because animals literally, especially when you look at dogs and you look at wolves, when they're hurt, they quite literally lick themselves to well-being. They don't slow down for long. You know, even when we try to hold them back to heal, they don't need to slow down to heal. They need to keep moving. They need to keep their body functioning. And the more we slow it down, in fact, the harder it is for them to heal. They've got a fast heart rate, and so time for them moves very, very quickly. Quite a powerful thing. So if you put wolf, you'll be seeking that energy as well, that ability to heal oneself, to move oneself through time, literally through time, to launch yourself forward. There's also the understanding of tracks with the paws of a hound, leaving marks on the planet, leaving marks wherever they go. So that's people that want to leave an impression or are looking to or have the ability to create an impression. I don't believe anybody chose the dolphin, fox, no, the wren. Nobody chose the goose or the duck. Nobody chose the griffin. Where's the wren? I know it's here somewhere. The wren is at page 2. Seahorse, somebody chose the seahorse. The seahorse is really interesting because the sign of the seahorse is really quite flexible. It's not something that was commonly known about, but it was. And it's about managing finances, handling legal matters. It's that ability to not quite be clear. That is to say, and that can be an ability, by the way, it doesn't have to be a negative, that the way our seahorse moves through water is it's so light, it's so fragile that everything could be going the other way and it still manages to, plonk itself along, and it can move against the current very, very sophisticated way for such a light animal. So it's easy to be underestimated. So sometimes it's a value to allow yourself to be underestimated while you quietly find the best way through, that you allow yourself to be vulnerable and delicate and allow others to help you or find their way through. This is the energy with a seahorse. It's the energy of if there is a loophole, you are looking for the ability to find it, okay, in whatever situation you've got going on. It's either to be found or to be invented by you at this point in time. There's also an amazing ability to remember, or needing the ability to remember. If you want to use this energy, you just start absorbing it. Focus on the seahorse and take in these energies for your own use. They can be hard to follow. As I said, it's not always clear. The minds are moving, the energy shifting, and they're moving within it as opposed to steering. So it's a little hard to anticipate things. There's a changeable quality to the seahorse. So sometimes that means too that you need to do things differently to get where you're going. Use the energy of the seahorse in that way. Looking for versatility, adaptability, that kind of thing, within the environment you've already got, rather than, I'm going to throw everything away and go to I don't know, South Island, Stewart Island. It's about changing the things that are in your environment as they are. It's looking for that love as well, wanting to be adored, that kind of energy. Thank you, Roger. Actually, pretty good. So very, very interesting stuff there. Now, what else have we got? The wren. The wren was chosen by Corrine, I believe. The animal sign is associated with freshness and opening to new insights, sunnier dispositions, looking to be happier, in other words, in general. There are natural caregivers and will sign sweet melodies to cheer their friends and families, not necessarily focusing on themselves. They can be calm amidst the stormy weather, but at the same time, they can be thrown about a fair bit. It is a wren, and a wren, if you ever see a wren, I don't know if you know much about them, but when you see them flying into the wind, they actually get buffeted around, but they don't give up. They don't change direction. You watch them going up and down, and they're looking for these undercurrents. They're finding the way through. And because it's an air current, there's nothing in front of them to see to know where that is. So you'll see them sometimes getting pushed way up, and they'll just hold, and then they'll drop back down to ride the next current. And all of this, they may only gain a few feet when you're watching them. And they're perfectly happy to do that. They're doing it the most resourceful way that they can. They're self-motivated, so you may be looking for self-motivation at the moment. They know what they want, and there's a way to get it. Even if they can't quite see it, they know there is a way to get it. They're better on their own. They're better working solo. So if it's a time where you need to push forward on your own and not have so many people around you pulling and changing, it's a really good time to do that if you're drawn to the Wren, to make your own decisions, get things going the best possible way, and maybe have less involvement, less of a team, if you like, involved in that. They're also very high sense of responsibility and moral integrity. So if that's an attribute you need, great. If it's one that you've got at the moment, then it's rounding it out with that ability to enjoy life, that ability to just be happy. They seek balance in their lives, so if you're drawn to that, you'd be seeking balance in your life. But the way to get it for yourself, again, is now to become the leader in your life and not allow yourself to be led. Even if you're working within a group or in a community, you're making the decisions as to the best way to go rather than relying on others to do that for you. There's the secret of the Wren is I would rather just be traveling. I would rather just be a gypsy, but that's not how I'm built, and therefore I don't do this. So when travel does come, it's something that would take a while. If there's a desire for that, it would take a while to come to the decision, and then perhaps have a bit of a struggle as to deciding what that is. Now, I've forgotten all the rest of it. Did anybody choose horse? If you did, horse, if I haven't said yours yet, can you pop it up out there? Margie is the horse. Exuberant, expansive, and powerful. The horse will give you a run for your money, literally. It's naturally competitive. And so the person who's attracted to the horse at the moment will be looking for competition, looking for something to give them an edge, will be perhaps in competitive mode even. It has a load of talent, so you'll be looking for ways to use your talent and confidence. It's the things that I want to gain confidence in. It's the things I'm confident about, I want to use those. Particularly in business, you might be very astute looking at business matters over the next while. And you may have a lot to do with that, whether it's yours or somebody else's. There's a sixth sense with the horse when it comes to a strategy. A horse knows a very long way before it gets to somewhere what it's going to do about that. It's already got it in its sights, but it's also very flighty. So that means as long as it's looking ahead and everything goes exactly as it plans, it's good to go. But as soon as something comes out of the ordinary, they tend to shy away from it, literally shy away from it. But there's an uncanny internal compass which can have them come back if it's the right thing or the only thing. They will come back to it and give it another go. There's also a charming, flirty quality about the horse, that desire, I suppose, to just have a bit of fun. Playing is the word, really. They make grand gestures, grand appearances, and know how to carry themselves with a certain amount of style and authority. So feeling very authoritative and taking that out into the world right now, or needing to. There's a great leadership quality here, so maybe wanting to take the lead, especially if there's that competitive edge, but quite happy to be part of the group, happy to help out, happy to be part of a large organisation as long as nobody ignores and gets to pat on the head. There needs to be that recognition so that one can feel that their contribution has value. Potentially headstrong, but valiant in adversity, so one that can stand up and push against injustice, I guess, push against the things that they don't like so much. No problem, thank you, Kareem. So it's all of that wonderful, wonderful energy. Now, did anybody have the salmon, the swan? If I haven't called yours, just type it into the chat so I can see it. That would be great. Thank you. If I make that way, that gets bigger. Swan, falcon, hawk. Did somebody? Oh, there was the falcon, hawk, and the crow. Now, did somebody have the falcon or the crow? There's the crow. Is the very Celtic-looking one, and the hawk is next to it. Did anybody have that? Was that you, Christy, or no? Then we've got the badger. I don't know if we were just talking about them or what. The badger really is interesting, and I did an energy totem for Chris Curious Time quite some time back, and a badger appeared in it, and I always find it interesting for me because we don't have animals like that here. So when I see something like that in an image or a vision, I'm going to go and find out everything I can about it. But the badger does a lot of digging. It's an esoteric symbolism that links it to the earth, really. It's a very earthy earthy energy. It gets stuck in, but it doesn't necessarily stop. It can be obsessive, obsesses over what it's trying to do. It can be nurturing a foundational energy. But a burrowing badger is also a symbol of magic because the act is symbolic of returning to the source, the shamanic idea of digging a hole, right? And you dig a hole and you go down into this hole and you find your soul. How exciting is that? That whole concept of being able to find your soul deep within the earth always has struck my fancy. It's always made me feel a little bit special. We're part of that. We're part of that. Hiya, Darlene. Did you choose something? We've been going through stuff and I can't remember if you chose or what you chose. So if I haven't spoken about what you chose, just type it on into the chat. This connects really heavily the badger. It's one of those things that it sort of expands through challenging. All right, will you choose a totem? I've got 2 pages. Let me know when you want me to go back to the other page. Snake, do you want me to go back and show you this page too in case something else strikes you? If you stay with the snake, we're all good with that. So with the badger, we've also got that whole energy of being survivors, having a strong will and managing to survive anything, regardless of what goes on there. So the snake we've got for Darlene, and it's a very cool exterior animal. The snake always is fascinating to me because its outside is cool, calm, and collected, but it's definitely got a lot of going on inside. There's a curiosity about the snake. The butterfly as well. Well, I did already do the butterfly earlier, so you can pop back and listen to that later on if you're still keen on it. The snake is actually quite a curious animal, and it really is investigating everything. Every part of it is sensing its environment and how things around them work. So if you're drawn to the snake at the moment, you're trying to nut people out, or you're going through a motion of where you want to just understand people a little bit better, the people around you. You want to get into underneath and work them out there. There's always that aspect of the snake, which is knowledge, right? And of course, they're not openly asking. It's really just about trying to figure out the answers in your own mind without necessarily having to ask, I guess. They're a natural communicator and they can be hugely persuasive. So there's that energy that you're drawn to. You either need it or are using it, that looking to persuade others, needing to persuade others, being persuasive. There's a passionate cause when it comes to the snake. When there's something that there's the snake totem that you're drawn to would mean that you're looking for a cause also, or that you've got a cause underway. But if you do find a cause, you'll be very passionate about it. Until you're not. There's a lot of zeal and enthusiasm for getting projects underway, for hunting things down at the moment, and then trying to understand everything in relation to that, which is kind of fascinating. There's about an enthusiasm for a need for purpose, life purpose, a purpose for the next week, whichever that might be. Snakes can be spontaneous, so looking for spontaneity and unpredictability, because if you don't have a bit of that at the moment, you'll find yourself getting a bit bored since you're drawn to the snake. And although they're pretty flexible, they like things to go their way too, but then who doesn't, right? I do hear this about the zodiac signs sometimes, this sign's stubborn, that sign's this and that. And I'm like, well, pretty much most people exercise most aspects of that. It's just how they exercise it that changes. So the truth is pretty much everybody likes to get their own way. That's just, I think, kind of natural. But will prove to be uncooperative if you're using the snake energy. It becomes uncooperative when somebody tries to knuckle you down, place you in a corner, or if they try to persuade you when you're not that interested, especially when you're in persuasive mode. Being persuaded is not necessarily something. So it's sort of like the dance, if you like, of the two snakes, when they're mating and they work around each other, and you don't seem to see much progress going on, but there is an ultimate or deeper purpose within there. So that's the snake. The fox is really kind of cool because, of course, we all think of the fox as cunning, but it knows how to work a room, and it's got that sly, sexy humor. So if you're drawn to the fox, I'll read them for those that will be coming into the listening zone only. But if you do have a look, or if you can go and have a look at Celtic imagery, you can come in here live if you're listening on demand to the sound archives only, Spreaker, Kiwi 6, etc. You can pop on in here. You can go to energy-therapies.intuitalks.com and you can click the archives, which is a psychic affair, animal totems. And once it loads, you'll see the slides down the side. There's only 4, one's blank. So there's 2 with the animal totems. You can go and choose your totem, and then you can decide which meaning seems to reference or suit, or what it means to have chosen that totem. The Celtic animal of the fox, or the indication of the fox, is guile, cunning, vigor, bright, intelligent, speedy, fast, witty, quick, everything like that, but slightly distant. They like to hold themselves separate. So if you're drawn to the fox, you may find that it's a little bit harder for you to make friends right at the moment. These aren't necessarily your lifelong totems. A little bit harder to make friends at the moment, and, you might need to take a little bit of time to get to know people first. Trust would be a little bit of an issue, very quick to jump out of there. But there's a knack for storytelling with the fox, and every experience that a fox has, or a person drawn as a fox at the moment anyway, is an experience to be shared as a story. That sounds a bit like me most of the time. Oh my gosh. And so that story gets shared, whether it's for the aid of others or the amusement of others, or just to get it out of your body. There's a tender heart with the fox, but there is a getting to know them first before that's revealed. There's no soft side being shown until trust has been pulled up. But there's a lot of playing with the fox. There's a lot of cracking jokes. You won't necessarily know where you are if you've been, or others won't know where they are with you if you've been drawn to the fox. They aren't shy about showing loyalty. They just wait for a person to prove themselves first. Energetic, but the word courageous can be used with them, but I don't see them as courageous myself. I see them as more clever, so that when something does strike them, they'll only fight if they absolutely have to. If they can go around, if they can find another way up, down, around, then they will pretty much do that. That'll be where they go. Now, a classic animal is the steer, right? The stag. You see representations of it in Robin Hood, where the old Celtic fables come into play, actually, where the stag appears and talks. I don't know if you've seen the true Robin Hood, if there's such a thing, but the stag-headed guide comes out of the mists and points the way, or gives him a message. Very cryptic, always very cryptic, but a very powerful image. If you want to start a new project, the stag sign, or the stag is there to help you. There's a lot of forward motion. They can't be deterred. If they're going to run through the bush, they're going to run through the bush, and they're going to miss every tree and every shrub, and they're going to jump over, and they're just going to keep going until they get to where they feel comfortable, where they feel safe, or where they want to be. There's the thoroughness, patient, very still energy around the stag until it gets fired up. Persistence, they can be very persistent, especially at the roar. I've been to a roar. In the roar, nothing deters them from their goal, and they will fight just about to the death for it. So when something's very dear, I don't mean so much the word passionate either. Something's very important, very dear to the stag energy, or the person practicing the stag energy, they will cling to it. They will fight to the death for it. That's the loyalty. There's a lot of pride, not likely to ask for help. They're likely to try and work things out for themselves. But there's a reason for that too, that the stags don't like boundaries. So you give them a really high fence and they'll just jump that little bit higher. You put a whole pile of trees in their way, a whole pile of people. I've tried to herd, I'm not joking, on a quarter horse, which was a very well-trained quarter horse that could herd just about anything. I've tried to herd deer when they were rounding them up in the deer forests because they were destroying it, the artificial species, if you like. They tried to build farms around them. Actually, they did a pretty good job of that. And these things could just get by you, and you're like, how the hell could you do that? You know, there's bracken, there's trees, but they would just do it and you wouldn't even see them, and that's what the stag's like. So the minute there are too many people involved, if you're drawn to the stag energy, you actually reduce your ability to move freely when you're using the stag energy. They're not really entitled. They believe in hard work as such, but they believe in reward as well. The stag must have a reward for its effort. Righteous hard work, I suppose, and integrity are very powerful energies of the stag. So when you want to use this energy, you're looking for those qualities. You know, when we say something like the word stubborn in relation, say, to the bull, or if you say something like the word, you know, reward, headstrong, all of that sort of stuff, they're not a negative. I want to be really clear on that. They're only a negative for the person opposing you. It's that true. It's as simple as that. If I'm walking beside you and helping you get what you want, then my determination, my stubbornness, my push, my drive is the best thing since sliced bread. But if you're standing in front of me wanting to go through me and I'm in that same mode, then of course you're not going to like it very much. And so the way we describe something is basically determined by our position. So when I'm standing beside you, you will call me persistent, you will call me determined. When I'm standing in front of me, you'll call me stubborn or headstrong. And of course, the only way you can ever see one headstrong person is to have in front of them another headstrong person. Boom, that's how that works. As long as one won't give way, you can go around each other, but you can't go through each other. Really interesting, not necessarily a negative. It's only a negative if you are denying something, if you don't want something that you need due to that. Then, of course, you're not now being stubborn, you're not now being headstrong, you're being in denial, defiant, a whole pile of other different words, actually. Fish is the salmon. The salmon, it's really amazing energy from the salmon, because they can push through the exact current. You know, if life seems to be pushing against you, adopt the energy of the salmon, because it can slice through that. Or if you're not so gutsy, adopt the energy of the seahorse. They're so gutsy that they fly just about upstream with an incredible power and strength. They run out of strength quickly. Like once they get where they're going, they're kind of done. So it's that final push. If you feel like, you know, you've been trying for something, and yet the whole world or the current of the world is against you, call on the fish or call on the salmon, a salmon in particular energy, because they're naturally intuitive. There's a natural bright visions, dreamy perspective that comes with the salmon. They're the best artists, the poets, the visionaries. Sometimes they have to dive deeper than the rest of us to be able to pull something back out. But they have the ability to carry that in the air for a wee while. So you got that water and air combination, which is pretty cool. They can't be followed. You can't just follow salmon. So they're not leaders as such. They are visionaries insofar as they carve their own path to where they've got to go. That can be a short-term struggle. It could be the end of a battle. You know, that moment where you just want to give up. You've had enough. There just always seems to be the next thing. Employ the salmon so that you cut through all of that. Salmon swim upstream. It's the most incredible but true thing. Fish in general swim with the currents. They swim with the flow. If it's going one way, they go one way, and they find their eddies and their pools. If they go against a current, it's because it's light, but not the salmon. You know, they're just out there. Now, the swan, I'm not sure if anybody chose the swan or whether it was just a mention. It's a spiritually evolved or a person looking for spiritual evolution, eloquent in their expression of themselves, and it swims really in a class of its own. There's a high standard with the swan, definitely particular, infinitely discriminating tastes. That means that they know exactly what they like and will not settle for less. There's a keen eye for beauty. They love beauty, even where others cannot see it. They'll be looking for the beauty in something. The swan is the lover and can prove to be quite passionate in relationships. So if you're looking for more passion in your relationship, draw on the swan. If you're overly critical, draw on the energy of the swan for a time to allow yourself to soften that up. There is a cool exterior, but the cool exterior is more about the coquette than it is about being actually cold. So it can take a little bit of a time for another person to get through that composure. They're good in a jam because they can get through composure because they're looking for beauty. They can see the silver lining in a challenge. Natural aristocrats, natural snobs, exacting in details and having very specific ideas makes them perfect for building contracts or starting businesses. It's a wonderful energy to keep your eye on the ball as well, that when, you know, everything seems to go to hell in a basket, you can still see the vision, you can still maintain the ideal. It's perceptive, organized, tasteful. Then get the swan's perception, the swan's perspective if you'd like a little bit of that. The falcon, seldom do we see more focus in Celtic animal science than in the hawk falcon. They've got falcon hawk. I know they're two different birds but very similar. There's something they want. If there's something they want, the falcon hawk, they just go after it. Damn the dam. With a force that can be really incredible, remarkable even. So when they want something, there is nothing else. They are focused. They are single point focused. They are aiming for the true north. They are aiming for the exact thing that they want. They have a keen sense of balance, and they can use their environment in particular ways. They can pull things out that they need. They're the ones that would be the snazzy dresser that can throw a whole pile of things together because they spot them before anybody else notices them, have them whipped off the shelves and put together in a way that nobody else would expect them to do. When you want to be creative in that way, when you want to be the one that spots, who's got that level of clarity, who can see different things and different aspects of those things very quickly and pull them together, pulling a team together, pulling a group together, trying to get a whole pile of different aspects of your life, your business or yourself, trying to pull them together, draw on the energy of the hawk or the falcon, the Celtic energy, that inner true north thing. That's an inner compass that never fails, right? Never ever fails. So that's quite a cool one. The crow stands for individuality. This is like a blatant disregard for what others think, for convention, a wonderful, wonderful energy. It carries secrets. It's a secret carrier, stuffed within their feathers. You know, the ruffled feathers are all because they've got all these secrets stuffed on the inside there. The Celts knew this, and they were wise to let them have their way. They never, ever really got stuck into killing crows. It was considered a felony, if you like. Actually, for real. It was considered a felony to kill a crow under Druidic rule. What kind of secret powers do they have? They're known to be the familiars of witches, right? And those people that entertain magic and use magic often have blazoned on their clothing, and they use their energy. So it's that ability to draw on the secrets, whether they're the subterranean secrets of life or the unfamiliar secrets of other people, situations. You may not become fully aware of those secrets, but you can still be full of the knowledge of them in a different way. There's a very unique energy about the crow. It's not something that can be ignored or dismissed easily. So that's our little range today. It hasn't been a huge range for you to choose from, but have a go, have a look, see where you go. That's pretty much our show for today. Thank you very much for coming. Next week, this Sunday, 10 p.m. on Voices from the Past, we are looking at something I can't remember. I'm looking at something I can't remember. Aren't we clever? So hang on, I'll go get it. I'll find it. And we will put it back. I did know. I don't even know why I don't know. It's crazy that I don't know. So we've got to go to Voices from the Past and the Egyptian Book of the Dead. The Egyptian Book of the Dead. I'm so looking forward to that. I love that whole principle, that it's quite different from the Tibetan Book of the Dead, but there's this wonderful post-life instruction, meditation, training for a person of how to get through things. Next week on A Psychic Affair, I'm going to talk about visions, symbols, how we have them, and we'll go through a final part of this, which I didn't get to, which is how do you develop a communion with a being that's not in the space with you? So that's next week on A Psychic Affair. Ciao, everybody. Thank you for coming, and have a wonderful week. And please remember this week, don't be a part of your own problem. Ciao for now.